Oh, I do recognize Alexis. Now, who's Michelle's iPhone? Wait, we just lost one. How did that happen? I decided, no, doesn't look like the right meeting. I thought I was going to the volleyball meeting. Ah, hi, Michelle.
How's everybody's first day of April so far?
Any good jokes? Anybody have any funny thing happen to them? Me neither. But you know what happened to a bunch of industry lobbyists in Washington? They were fired from the EPA Science Advisory Board. And that's no joke. So that was kind of exciting. That was a joke on them. Because it turns out they don't do science. I don't mean to get all political, but you know, it's kind of fun. We scientists, we like science to have its place. So we didn't do a registration or anything, did we, Ash? So we don't really know who's coming.
No.
Okay. Well, you know, so Declan knows what the major's about. Akira, you might not. And Michelle, you might not. And Alexis, you might not. And Lois, do you know anything about the major? No, I'm going to assume no. So we could just like start with the major and then, you know, if people trickle in and they want to know more, we can always go backwards. But does that sound good to everybody? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Mary, are you going to be, let's introduce ourselves. So Ash, who are you?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm the assistant. Oh, and someone is, let me just admit them, sorry. I'm the assistant for environmental thought and practice. So I work pretty closely with Deborah and I'm the other affiliated faculty. I'm also a second year PhD candidate in art history. And I'm really interested in eco-criticism. So that's sort of my connection to the environment. I work on global modernism and African art. And I'm interested in pursuing art history in connection to environmental history.
Cool. Mary?
I'm Mary Kuhn. I am an assistant professor in the English department, and I also do environmental humanities more broadly. So I teach courses on literature and environmental topics. So next year I'm teaching a course on either climate fiction or on walking in literature in the fall at the 2000 level. I am teaching a course on plants and empire in the spring at the 4000 level, both in the English department. And then I'm teaching the ETP, the first ETP capstone also next spring. But my interests, my own research interests are in plants and literature.
Love it. And I'm Deborah Lawrence, and I'm the director of ETP, and I'm a professor in environmental sciences. And I am trained as a tropical ecologist and a biogeochemist, meaning that I try to understand how life alters the chemistry of the planet. I also am really interested in climate change and kind of have completely rejiggered my teaching and research to work on climate change in the past decade. And so I teach about climate change these days. I'm also teaching the introductory class to ETP with Paul Friedman and Michelle Marcom. So Paul is politics, Micheline, did I say Michelle? Micheline Marcom, she's an English and she's a novelist. Super fun class, right, Alexis? And Declan, are you in there too? Yeah. So super fun, super weird to have all those things together. And that is what ETP is all about. So that's the point of ETP, is that we think about the environment deeply, much less try to solve any environmental problems. We need to think about all things. We need to think about the environment in many ways. So that's what ETP is all about. As I said, you know, I'm a scientist. I came at this thinking that I could just study the issue. And surely if I just showed people my data, they would all just run around and solve problems. And it didn't work out that way. Like, I think the data has a role to play, but it turns out if you really want to save the rainforest, for instance, you need more than just data. So I think ETP's whole goal is to deepen our connection to nature as a way of kind of grounding the whole study of our relationship to nature and to the environment. And then think about what are the issues that human environment relations have created, and how would humans go about trying to solve some of those problems. So hopefully ETP would give you a chance to learn something and make the environment part of your life and part of your work. So without further ado, I'm going to share host disabled participant screen sharing. Okay, none of you are allowed to share anything funny. Okay, let me try again. Great. All right, so you all can see that, I hope. Great. So welcome to Environmental Thought and Practice. This is our second forum, second coming together. This is our spring open house, and we really want to do a few things. Tell you about the major, tell you about upcoming classes so that you're aware of the kinds of things that are coming straight ahead, like you're about to register for classes. You should know about where to find information and what special new things are offered. Also some summer session opportunities. And then I'd like to talk to you a little bit about internships and what you're going to do this summer. And then finally, just open it up for whatever else you want to know. So I'm going to go ahead with that. All right, so ETP, how does it work? Some of you on this call do know how ETP works, but I'm just going to go through it briefly. ETP, as I said, is an interdisciplinary major, humanities and arts, natural sciences, and social sciences. And so what's required? There's 11 classes required, and that is slightly more than some. Some have 10 classes, but chances are they have a prereq. So I would argue that ETP is actually super low barrier. Like, you don't have to take a thing before joining us. You just join us. We will have you at any time. So no prereqs. You jump in and you take the introductory class. That's happening right now in the spring. We also have a shared class at the end. That's the one that Mary Kuhn, the assistant professor here in English, is going to be teaching. Then ideally you would take 3 core classes. Some of these you might have taken before you started. You would take a core class in natural science, a core class in what we call values, culture, and history, and a core class in policy, planning, and society. So those are the 3 realms. We have a really great website where you can see, how do I fulfill these core requirements? There's a ton of options in the sciences. There's a few options in policy, planning, and society. And then there's a couple options in values, culture, and history. So intro class, 3 core classes, the final class, and then a bunch of electives. For those electives, you have to, again, spread yourself across the 3 areas. So at least 1 values, culture, and history, at least 1 policy, planning, and society, and then 2 natural sciences. And I think the reason we're focusing a little bit heavily on the natural sciences is that we really want you to actually know and be grounded in the science of the problems that you're interested in, the environmental challenges that you are interested in. We think there's room for being sure that you do a little bit of extra science. Beyond that, so 1 in values, culture, history, 1 in PPS, 1 in natural science, 2 in natural science. Then you have 2 left, and those 2 left you can put wherever you want. So it could be a random interesting class that's coming up this summer, where you would, we're doing a class on media and environment. So social media and how environment is coming out in the media. That would be a fun one as an extra elective. There's opportunities that will come up, and you can take advantage of them for your electives. All right, so I'm going to just pause and ask if you have any questions so far. So this is the major 11 classes, as I said, and while that is technically more than most, which are only 30 credits or 10 classes, again, I'm arguing that that is not the case because we have no prereqs. So it's really just the same as any other major. It's just better. And the other thing I would say about the major, in terms of the way that it works, if you think about the fact that we have these little channels like the values, culture, history, when you have a core class, you have an elective, and then you have 2 optional electives. All 4 of those classes could be in some area. Maybe you like anthropology. And so there's an anthropology core that works for our values, culture, history. There's an anthropology class that you could take as an elective. And then you have 2 more electives. And if you pick well, those 2 electives could fit ETP and anthropology. Similarly, in the policy planning and society track, you could imagine, if you're in politics, you could just lay out those 4 classes so that they fit. And again, also in the sciences. In fact, in science, if you're an NVI-Sci, you can make 5 classes overlap. So I think ETP matches really well if you're thinking about something else and you're thinking, but they don't really focus on the environment. And I really want to think about the environment. So I think of ETP as a great add-on. I also think ETP is a really fulfilling major just by itself. So I'm going to pause again and ask if you have any questions about a particular thing, like, do I think it would match with astronomy? No questions? Seriously, any question is fine. Okay. All right, then I'm just going to move on. And again, you don't have to double major. I just talk about it because it seems like people do it, but that is not my goal about how your life should work. I think that now I'm going to get a little philosophical and say that you've got a lot to do in college and your major is one thing you do. The other thing you do is figure out who you are. And the other thing you do, if you're lucky, is you figure out what you want to do with your life. So I think, a major is fine because those other 2 projects are really big and really important. And you need to leave some time in your life for doing those things. Okay. What else? Courses. So the website is fantastic. Ash keeps it really up to date. So on the website, and maybe I'll just, no, I won't. I'll go there afterwards, but the website's going to have all the classes that are available ever, but then all the classes that are coming up, like what's happening in the fall or what's happening in summer. We go through and look for the classes that help ETP majors fulfill requirements. So if you're at a loss, you just go to that list and you're like, what can I take to fulfill these requirements? It's going to all be there. But we also want to highlight a few things that are happening soon. So summer, we have this, I told you, this media class. We're calling it Media Literacy Practice for the Environment. And that is, how we're environmental thought and practice? The idea behind this course is that it's actually a chance to do something a little more active. So it's a little more practice oriented. You're going to be creating some of your own media, some of your own stories and presenting them for the public, possibly. So that's ETP 3559. There are also several classes that are, at least 2 that are required that you could take this summer. Econ 2010, the Principles of Economics, NVI-Sci 1010, which is Intro to Environmental Science. There's an Industrial Pollution and Society in East Asia. That is in history, so that would count in values, culture, and history. And then Politics of Food, and that would, I think that's also, no, that's PPS, right? Yeah, that's PPS. So like there you have PPS, you have a VCH, you have some core classes, and you have an elective. So you could do a ton of stuff this summer if you felt like just jumping ahead. In the fall, we have another couple of classes that are new. Econ 3430 is Sustainability Economics. It's a great thing. If you, again, that's PPS. Like if you're feeling like you want to be in that policy track, you might want to take that econ. And then English 3570 American Wild. Who teaches that, Mary? Do you know?
That is Steve Cushman.
Cushman. Yeah. So Steve Cushman is terrific. So I don't know what that's going to be about, but I bet it'll be fun. Also, he sent that to us saying, please tell your students. So you might look at that and say, ooh, 3570, that's like a 3000 level class. I can't take that. I'm a first year. That is not true. Like he asked us to share it with you so that you think about taking it. So don't be daunted if there's something that's 3000 or 4000. If it's here, if we're highlighting it, they want you to know about it. So they're interested in having you come. All right. Any questions? I'll just pause on these summer courses and the fall courses that we're highlighting. There will be more. This is not it. There will be more. By the time the fall comes around, we'll have a whole list of what's required. Should I show you guys? Do you want to see the website? How many people put your hand up? Have you seen the website ever? All right, I'm not going to go there because you know. Wait, Akira, you haven't?
Oh no, I have.
You have? Okay, well then
Yes.
I'm not going to drag you out there. It's a great website. It's really, well, you can tell me if it's great, but I do know that we definitely try to keep it up to date. So it's a great source. The other great source is our social media. So we post stuff like this on the social media. How many of you are following ETP on something? One. Come on, Kristen, Michelle, Alexis is. Declan, are you yet? You should sign up. Anyway, sign up because we share stuff. We share class announcements. We share announcements like we're having the open house. We share announcements about internships. We share news that you should just be aware of as an environmentally minded person. So anyway, the website is great and the social media is great. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Summer. So lots of opportunities. And I'd say this year is a banner year because UVA is trying to help you figure out what to do with your summer because we know that it's just been really hard. So the ones that I'm highlighting so far that we know about for ETP that are relevant to us, the UVA Equity Center is hiring a couple of interns and those are paid. So I'll get you more information about that. They haven't given us a little announcement yet, but I think they might be working on this thing called some kind of equity climate atlas. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, whatever they're doing, it's going to be interesting. And I will keep you posted on that. Generation 180 is a local organization that promotes the energy transition. They're really interested in renewable energy. They are having 2 interns. They are unpaid, but if you apply for the Parents Fund, which I'll tell you about in a minute, you can get yourself paid. So Generation 180 has 2 projects. One is on solar for all schools, like that's trying to get schools to be solar. And then Electrify Your Ride, that's about promoting EVs. So those are 2 projects. I have listed here the contact for that. That's Julie at generation180.org. Also on our website, Ash will be posting all of this information so you don't have to try to grab it off the screen or anything. So the Equity Center, Gen 180, and then UVA's Energy Transition has 2 paid positions as well. Yeah, so that the energy transition, one person is supposed to help create an energy almanac. That might be a little bit sort of quantitative heavy, like you're supposed to know R or Python, or have good data skills. And maybe if you don't know R or Python, you feel very comfortable with Excel. I don't know what, but you can talk to Bill Shobe about that. The other intern is not quite as data heavy. It's more like archival work, looking at stuff, trying to understand information, but not necessarily analyze data. Both of these projects are working on our future in Virginia and how we decarbonize our economy in Virginia. Like what's holding us back? What's it going to be like to try to put solar everywhere? Where will it go? These are the questions that we're trying to ask in that project. So that's Bill Shobe. So these are opportunities that we already know about. There's some more options listed on the website that they're out there for you to get. So they're out there for you to sort of go out and look at these people and talk to these organizations and say, can I work with you? So if you have an idea, you can just do it yourself. If you don't have an idea, we have a few more on the webpage. So I'm going to pause before I go to tell you how to get the money to support your internship. I'll just pause here for any questions you have about these opportunities. No questions.
One quick question.
Yeah.
Do you know if these positions are going to be remote, or are they in person in Charlottesville?
I think everything is remote right now. I think you
Okay.
should plan on it being remote unless otherwise, like, you know, we're not done yet.
No, stop.
Oh, is that somebody else? Yeah, I think we're remote. I mean, of course, you know, you can, if you want to be with them, you could perhaps work that out, but I think it's going to be remote.
Okay, sweet. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right. I'm going to go on and tell you how you're going to get your internship of your dreams. That is through the Parents Fund. So the Parents Fund is combining two things. The parents originally got together to support internships in the public sector. What's that called? What's the word? It's like public service. Thank you, brain. Public service. So, you know, you want to work in the local government or state government or go off to Congress and be some kind of unpaid intern. They wanted to support you doing that. Sustainability came in, the UVA Sustainability Committee said, hey, we'd like to support a bunch of those internships that are targeted specifically at sustainability. So they did. They've combined forces and now they offer these grants. The grant is $3,000 and it's for anything from 8 to 10 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks. I would urge you to promise the minimum because it's only $3,000. That's just my personal feeling. Like it's if you do 10 or 12 weeks for $3,000, you might not have any money when you come back to school. So anyway, it's a minimum of 8 weeks, a minimum of 30 hours a week. And you come up with your own. And whatever you want to do, if you make a compelling case that it's sustainability related, you have a good chance of being funded. It's for first years, second years, and third years. You have to, as I said, the whole thing is, it's about you figuring out, oh, in my own town, there's this like river cleanup group, and I want to work with them all summer, figuring out how we're going to get plastic bags out of the river. You know, you can do it. You can do anything you want in your own town. Or if you're in Charlottesville, there's a lot of opportunities in Charlottesville. But the point is to let you follow your heart, follow your interests, explore something that you wouldn't be able to do because it's unpaid and you get paid for it. So I urge you to think about it. It's due April 4th, and then a second round is due May 9th. So wonderful opportunity. I just can't tell you enough how great an opportunity this is. I mean, maybe you can do it for free anyway, but most of us, you know, we want to make some money in the summer so we can have something to play around with in the fall or pay for our tuition or whatever. So nice to be paid. We are going to have this information linked, and this information is especially important if you're interested in the Generation 180 internships, which are not paid, and they're hoping that you would apply for this grant and get it. So, so that's important. Okay, I'm going to pause again. Please ask me about this. This is great. This is free money for you. Okay. Also, if you feel like, so on our, we listed the Equity Center, Gen 180, and Bill Shoeb's Energy Transition Initiative, just because those are people that actually got in touch with us and said, oh yeah, why don't you tell your students about this? But we have other ideas. So on the website, there are other ideas about local opportunities. And if you feel like, I don't know what I want to do, you're welcome to ask me now or to come to my office hours. I have office hours on Thursdays. Just send me an email and we can have an appointment anytime. Thursday is actually too late for April 4th, but I'm happy to talk to you before then. If you want to give it a shot. I would also say, I think the way these things work, if you're trying to be strategic, if you can get your application in for April 4th, you're better off. Like there's none given away right now. If you get yours in soon, it happens and you have a better chance because if you wait till May 9th, that's fine. You can wait, but like everyone else is going to wait and everyone else is going to put it off. So I would say if you can, do it now. Like you're just going to be competing against fewer people. So I urge you, if you can get your act together, figure it out. It's worth it. All right, I don't think there's anything else. Right. So I'm going to stop sharing and just like look at you all and tell me if you have any questions or just wonder, I don't know, any questions you have.
Yeah, I had a quick question about the rounds 1 and 2 of the Parents Fund
Yeah.
grants. So it's not like round 1 is like the initial application, and round 2 is like a more selective one. It's
Nope.
like they're actually just 2 deadlines.
Yeah, I think they're trying to be nice and understanding that, well, first of all, some people might like apply or wait for like to hear back from Department of Energy or White House. And they're like, I really would like to go to the White House, but if they don't take me, I'm going to apply for this other thing. So people are finding out around now. And I guess the idea is like, if you want to wait and find out, and if you don't get it, you should have another chance to apply. But I do think you have, I don't even know if that's true. I'm kind of making that up, but I just think strategically, if you can do it now. If you can't do it later.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. I saw on the website that it said when you apply to like declare your major, I guess, you need to fill out the little form, I think. Yeah, and then email it to you.
Yeah.
If we don't know exactly like what classes we want to take when, is that okay? Because like I was trying to fill out the form, but I don't know what classes will be offered when. So I don't really know how to like.
So here's the thing, Akira, just do your best.
Okay.
And the whole point of having it be like a trial run worksheet is that I can look at it and say, oh, actually that class is not going to be offered for 5 more years or something. And so don't pick that. But I could suggest to you, like, if you like that one, this is another one that I know will be offered that's kind of like that, or the same person teaches it and you might enjoy that. So it's really just to try to get your head around, what do you hope to do in the major?
Okay.
Things change. It's not a contract. The whole thing is not a contract. It's just an idea so that you can look at and see, like, do I have time in my schedule? How would I work it out? Which buckets? How do I fill these buckets?
Okay.
That's really what it's about. It's not a contract.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. So can I have hands up of people who are already in the major? Just Declan. And people who are thinking about it? Great. Okay, well, can I just like, what else are you interested in? Let me tell you how it's going to work out perfectly and match. Or what can I do to convince you that this should be your major?
Okay, well, I've been thinking about either math or this, which I know are like completely seem so separate, but I've become really interested in like environmental justice and environmental racism. So I kind of wanted to go into that. And I know environmental science doesn't really touch environmental justice as much as I feel like the environmental thought and practice would. So that was really my whole like thought process behind that. But when I first came to college, it was always math. So that's why I kind of want to do both. But I'm unsure of like if I want to double major, minor in math and major in environmental thought and practice. I'm really unsure.
Sounds fascinating and so different. Like that is practically astronomy plus ETP, right? But I would tell you this, that my mind goes to things like how you can use math to make a point. So I'm thinking if you were ETP and you love math, you could do super solid in the statistics. Like there's a lot of statistics that would count towards ETP that might help you tell a story about environmental injustice. You could imagine telling that story with statistics or maps or with a lot of math. So that's interesting. Also, in environmental science, we have a couple of classes. We don't have a lot, but there's one for sure that's on atmospheric pollution. You should totally take it. It is science, a lot of math and justice. So if you're looking to fill out your natural sciences, you should put that one down. I actually think that if you love math, you should do math. Like really, we can make ETP work with math. So just don't think it has to be one or the other. If you love it, do it. I hate telling people who actually have like serious quantitative ability to just abandon it completely, simply because in our world of people who love the environment, they seem to be fewer. So like, if you're there and you actually have these skills, it's worth keeping them. It sort of sets you apart. John is in air pollution. Tell us about it, John.
Yeah, that's a great class with Sally Passetti. I think it's environmental science, EVSC, like 4559, or maybe 4995. I don't really remember. But yeah, that's we do a lot of like math and science stuff there. So it's definitely a good like intersection between your interests, math, and then environmental justice. So I would highly recommend that class. Thank you for looking that up.
Thanks, John.
To jump in, sorry.
Go ahead.
To jump in with another, I guess, like major, double major kind of a thing. I'm definitely planning to do some major in English. I'm waiting on hearing back about area programs in poetry or prose. So I've definitely had like English on my radar. And I had considered environmental science like a minor for a little bit, but then I took, I'm in the ETP intro class and was so excited about it, which is like, I think I definitely want to add that as a double major, but I'm just trying to, I guess, like wrap my head around like how those would work together. Cause I know there is overlap, but I think just like, yeah.
Mary, can you take that since that's perfect for you?
Yes, I can say that there have been English and ETP double majors in the past, and I believe there has also been ETP like area program overlap between an area program with either poetry or fiction writing and ETP in the past. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty certain. And as with sort of the ETP major is designed to, as Deborah was saying before, to really kind of complement, like there are a lot of classes in English that you could use as electives. It would be very easy, I think, actually to double major between the two. And I know I would be happy to sort of sit down with you one-on-one and like look at if you're in one of the creative writing tracks, because I know that has slightly different requirements, kind of sit down and map out a kind of potential route through the two majors and think about how they'll dovetail together. But there are a number of folks in the English department who regularly offer environmentally based topics. So I teach courses on literature and the environment. Brian Tier does as well. I'm forgetting, I'm picturing a colleague whose name is escaping me, but also Steve Cushman, Bruce Holsinger sometimes does. There's a number of faculty who regularly teach in this area. And so I really don't think it would, be any problem to dovetail those.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've already kind of talked to Professor Lawrence a little bit about this. I'm a first year, so I'm still considering like a lot of things, like way too many to just be like a double major. I'm very interested right now in economics, also English like Kristen, and I also recently became interested in another interdisciplinary major. It's called political and social thought. I think that's what it's called, PST. So those are all kind of the ones that I'm considering in addition to ETP. I think I might go with like an econ and an ETP double major. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I am still very interested in English and then a lot of like the political theory that PST encompasses. So I just don't know yet.
It's hard. I mean, I don't know how many you people can do,
Yeah.
but maybe like 2.5. I don't know. The econ, I'm actually working with Bill Shobe to try to set up I asked him if you could take 4 econ classes to be sustainable or like ETP-ish, like which would they be? And we haven't gotten together yet, but I believe there could be a sequence that you could take that would satisfy a bunch of your ETP classes that would make you kind of, just like the focus. It would be, you could focus if you were also an econ major, you could like take those and slot them right into ETP to sort of, again, make it only 2/3 of a major instead of an entirely extra major.
Yeah, I like that combination. And I know there is a ton of overlap. Like I think I'm going to enroll in sustainability economics, that new class that you just showed. And I know there's also like environmental economics. There's like air pollution economics. There's a ton of courses in the econ department that overlap.
Wendy, maybe you're going to tell us how to do the ETP econ double major.
Maybe.
Maybe you'll do it.
I'll jump in really quickly here, but I am currently trying to get the technology and environment minor through the eSchool, and that includes 3 different concentrations. And one of those concentrations, which I'm focusing on, is management and economy. So that combination of econ classes and sustainability would definitely be helpful. Right now, I'm trying to figure out if I can double dip between the minor and the major, the ETP major, because some of the classes that you've already shown in the slideshow, I've already taken or am planning on taking. So if there was a chance that I could double dip, then that would be very convenient. But yeah, just putting that
We
out
don't
there.
mind double dipping, like maybe the eSchool does, but I'm all about double dipping. I think you should just maximize your efficiency and leaves you more room to take other stuff. Like I don't see the downside. It's not like you people are going to be slackers and you're going to take 3 classes. It's like you're going to take 2 majors. That's not slacking off. I don't understand. So you can double dip with us, but I guess you should probably check in with the eSchool.
Yeah, I should probably check in with them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm also a first year, so I think I'm a little bit scattered on major ideas, but ETP is definitely a new one because I'm taking the ETP intro class and I really enjoyed it. And then also I'm thinking about like public policy or sociology, double majoring or minoring or something. But I thought those were kind of interesting. I guess my question would be like, how would I find internships that are kind of like public policy environmental? Because I don't necessarily have like data or like R Python experience.
Okay, you should still apply to Bill Shobe's other one. There's the second one is not, you do not need to be a coder, right? So the second one is kind of for someone like you who's interested in policy, and I wouldn't say you don't have the capacity, you don't have the skills yet, but like, you're a first year. So if you work with him and you do something that's not data heavy, but you see that the other people and the other parts are doing really interesting things, maybe you feel like, okay, I'm going to learn R because I want to know how to do that. And maybe ETP's job is to make sure that you can get some credit for learning those skills. So maybe that's our job, figuring that out. But can you combine it with something like sociology or policy? Absolutely. Again, I could imagine sociology like filling several of your requirements for us. Like they exist, and I think we even list them already on our course list. As for where do you find that internship? I think they're everywhere. So I don't know if you clicked on any of the things that the Environmental Resilience Institute sent out, like there was a bunch of internships through the Environmental Resilience Institute that were not necessarily data crunching. They were just, we're working on, a problem, and we have many approaches and many kinds of needs. Or something like the Generation 180. They are working on electric vehicles. They're not necessarily crunching data. They're thinking about, how do you get people to buy them? What are the constraints on buying them? What are the constraints on scaling up fast? That's not necessarily data crunching. That's like using your head to think about what's limiting people. Maybe it's doing a survey saying, like, why don't you want to buy a vehicle? Or why did you choose to not buy this vehicle when you last bought a car? There's just like a lot of these problems have work to do, thinking to do, that you can do. So I would say you shouldn't feel at all limited in finding internships now or in the summer that are related to your interests. The Citizens Climate Lobby is trying to pass a law on carbon tax, a carbon price in at the federal level. So join CCL. Like they're not going to ask you to crunch data. They're going to ask you to organize a campaign to have people like you and me call their congressman. Like there's plenty of work to do. That's an internship that is not crunching data.
Deborah, it's Dana
Perfect,
here.
thank you.
Hi, Dana.
I'll jump into, I jumped on late, so I'm sorry I missed the beginning, but I was looking to learn more about ETP, and it's awesome to meet you guys who are interested in the major.
Tell them who you are, Dana.
Oh, hi, I'm Dana. I work in the sustainability office at UVA. I do outreach.
You want to know her. You want to know
I work
her
mostly with faculty and staff. So you may or may, I can't remember if I've met any of you guys or not before, but Leela Gardner also works in our office and does a lot with students. We love helping give, I don't know, advice or connections in any way that we can. I don't think we're a gold mine or anything, but a great gold mine is, Deborah, did you share the info for the science and sustainability career community at the Career Center?
No.
I'm going to drop a
link.
So there's another great helper who would love to help you guys find internships and talk about your career path. George Piacuda is the Science and Sustainability Career Advisor. And there wasn't always somebody who focused specifically on sustainability. So we're glad, yeah, he is awesome, Wendy. I'm glad you've already connected with him. So I'll just drop in the chat the link for the Science and Sustainability Career Community, and there's resources on there. George is also really cool and approachable, so you can set up a short meeting with him and just be like, I don't know how to find an internship, and he'll have good ideas.
That's great. Thank you, Dana.
Yeah, of course.
Ash, maybe we can add that to our list. I'm sure you already had that thought. Add that to our list of.
Yeah, it's it should be linked on the website.
Good.
We advertised it in the fall open house, but yeah, it wasn't
Perfect. Perfect. This is great. We're going to have you all employed by the end of this hour. Elliot, you turned on your camera. What do you want to know?
Sorry, I was like walking before I joined.
Okay.
You may have covered this, but I'm also first year and am kind of debating between doing the global studies sustainability major and ETP, and I'm kind of like just figuring out what ETP is this semester. So could you possibly like distinguish between the two and like what a career path would look like? I know it's very interdisciplinary, but like how they're different.
That's a good question. They're not terribly different. I'd say the differences that I see are that we actually in ETP are quite focused on the human relationship with the natural environment. We're just a little bit less, concerned with the built environment than global studies is. That's partly because global studies sort of was born out of the architecture school. So we really are trying to think about nature a bit more, I think. We also have a pretty solid grounding in science that I think you can take science or not in global studies. I think you have to take maybe one class And in ETP, you have to take 3. Yeah, 3. So that's a little bit of a difference, but they're very similar. And the only big difference is you have to apply to global studies. And I think I have some inside dirt on how to get in if you want to get in, which is basically show that you've already started working on it. Like that always tends to come up. Like they have a lot of people wanting to be in it. And I think that if you're one of those people who's already shown a commitment to the major, like you've taken 3 classes or 4 classes, that's good. So anyway, that's the trick. But I don't want you to go there. I want you to stay with us in ETP. But of course you should go there if that's what you want to do. Like really, they're very similar. GSVS it's got more options across the schools. ETP tends to be a little bit more focused on what we do inside the college. So you're welcome to take classes outside, but we don't sort of push you out. Like, whereas I think global studies, they're really pushing to see that it be across schools. We are interdisciplinary. We aren't necessarily interscholastic. So there's no difference.
Super helpful.
But whatever, there could be. In terms of your future and your career, I don't think one or the other sends you better on your pathway. And actually, Elliot, I think that's like a conversation you have with me and yourself. Like you have to figure out what you want to do, and then I'll help you figure out how ETP can help you get there. So you might go to law school, you might go to medical school, you might go to business school, you might go into an NGO, you might become a novelist, you might become an artist, you might go into advertising. Like I personally think that the environment is everywhere, and that our commitment to making this planet a better place goes everywhere. So I think ETP makes you a better citizen and a better person in your job. So I actually think you'll do a better job at your job, whatever it is. So, but I could happily talk to you about, what are you interested in, and how can we figure out what that job might look like? Like what can you get that's a job in what you're interested in?
That's super helpful. Thank you. No, it's really helpful.
Okay, well, I have faith that you can get a job, but I don't know, it sort of depends on your inkling about what you would like to do.
Just to build off.
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, just to build off that, all of those careers that Deborah was just naming, ETP graduates have gone on to do. So there are ETP grad students, there have been a number of people in recent years who've gone into law school. There have been a number of people who have gone to Yale School of Forestry, which is now called the Yale School of Environmental Studies. I think it's been renamed, but there are a number of people who've done teaching, who've gone into Peace Corps, who have, there was a ETP and art double major who is now, sort of pursuing some art things with teaching on the side. So there really are, there's somebody who's coming back to enter Darden this winter. So really, like, you name it, there are people who are working for NGOs, there are people who are working for government, like you name it, and there are graduates of the program who have gone on to do it. And many of them have indicated their enthusiasm for talking to potential ETP majors. So, keep that in mind as well, that there are people who have made these decisions before, who have kind of tried to, weigh these kind of equations. And many of them are, I think would be happy to serve as resources.
That's a great idea, Mary.
Sorry, Deborah, just to add to what Mary was just discussing, the sort of alumni testimonials can be found on the website. On the homepage, there's a video from our fall open house, and the PowerPoint included statements from some of the students that Mary was just discussing. So if you wanted to check that recording out, you can get some more specific information as well.
Also, Ash, I'm getting the idea that we need to actually have an open house with some alums. Wouldn't that be great? We need to get them back. Yeah.
Okay, I
Go ahead.
to unmute because I really was here to listen and learn, but can I share a thought on majors?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't know, maybe it's all schools, or this is just a common problem, but I feel like there can be a lot of pressure on knowing what you want to do, what kind of job you want. And I always, whenever I work with students, I love reminding everybody that what you want to do is going to change like a million times, and that's fine. Like I feel like UVA encourages people to be on a really straight line trajectory, and I do not think that's so rarely how it works out, you know? So yes, it'd be, you know, it's good to know what sort of global issues you want to apply your skills to. And it's really encouraging that you guys are here to learn about, you know, environmental and social issues and how they play together. But like, yeah, I don't know, like what your specific major is, like, especially like global sustainability versus ETP, or like if you're in that same kind of realm, I kind of don't, my take is I don't think it really matters. I think it's like you're going to get great experiences, and you know, what you want to do is going to be shaped by the experiences that you have in the classes that you take. So don't feel like you have to have it all figured out right now. Like you're going to have a great experience no matter what program you're in. And I just want to say the thing that made me want to come to this session, and that might be an advantage of the ETP program, is Deborah. I love everything that Deborah does, and she really cares about students. And this is a smaller program, but to get that like close attention from a really passionate and dedicated faculty member, I think would probably be a cool part of majoring in ETP. Just saying.
I planted her there.
You did not. I mean, not that, I mean, the heads of other programs are fantastic too, but that could be one difference, a noticeable difference between like global sustainability and ETP is like the size of the program, who's leading it, that kind of thing.
True. Okay, I'm dying to see Gareth and Lois, but you don't have to show us yourselves. But if you have a question, you could ask it from your black box too. No. Okay, that's right. That's the point of being black box.
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
Is the shared intro course offered every semester or?
Just in the spring right now.
Okay.
But don't let that bog you down. If you're like, I am going to ETP, I'm going to start in the fall. Just start taking stuff and you'll still enjoy the intro class. You'll still be like, oh, now I get it. You know, like you're going to you can still take some core classes in the fall and feel like the spring is still valuable in terms of like helping you get together.
Okay.
The sun, yay.
Can I ask a question of any students, or especially students who are in the intro class or have taken the intro class? What are some interesting, or I don't know, has there been like a memorable class or a memorable concept that has really jumped out to you from this semester so far? I would love to be able to tell students who are like thinking about ETP what to expect from the intro class.
This might just be because I'm on like an English major track, but I've really liked the emphasis on storytelling, whether it's in like a very like literal like literature sense, or just like as far as like data goes and the stories that we tell from that, but also just like regarding the environment in general. I've just like that as a focus because I think that's like kind of how my brain works, but I found that really interesting.
I love the different perspectives of Professor Lawrence, Friedman, and Markham, because Professor Lawrence is a scientist. Friedman is, I don't remember what department he's in, but he does
Politics.
Yeah, politics and like economics, and Professor Markham is more like English and literature, I think. So that's really cool, like seeing them take turns lecturing and seeing their perspectives on not the same issues, but you know, the environment. And I think it's really valuable because obviously the environment isn't just science. So yeah, that's been really cool to learn.
That's great. I didn't know it was co-taught, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a lot to learn about ETP, so thank you.
You can come to our class.
Yeah, I was just gonna echo what John said because that's the best part about the class to me too, is like seeing the different perspectives because I think a lot of people, at least people who are interested in ETP, already know a little bit about like the science. Like we all know about like how CO2 emissions like cause global warming and everything, but I'd never really gotten a lot of that literature side, or even really a lot of the politics behind climate change and addressing that. So it's really interesting seeing those perspectives. In terms of like a favorite class, I honestly think it was the one that we just had with Akasha, who basically we had a photographer come in and like tell us about her story, and she shared her pictures with us, and it was just like, I don't know, it was like such a profound thing to see her pictures. And she was talking about this mine in Alaska, and so she basically has done a lot of work photographing the bears and animals in Anchorage, Alaska, and it was just really beautiful and yeah, just really profound.
Yeah, it was great.
I will definitely agree with Wendy. I'm in religion 2022-10 with Professor Jenkins, and it's really definitely felt the same way about we talk a lot about global warming, climate change in terms of this very linear process, and so really understanding the values and everything that undergirds why we want to protect the environment, why we want to do these things, was completely out of left field for me, but it's a fascinating thing, and really, to me, it uplifts not only the reasons to, but also some solutions and everything that goes into it. So just a new frame of mind.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm also in that class, and I'm also taking the intro to race, class, politics, and the environment with Professor Fields, and they both really like help me reimagine what our environment is and like what we consider like nature and like what's natural. And I think that, like both classes are what made me want to get into environmental justice, just because like it's really, I feel like not enough people know about what environmental justice is or what environmental racism actually is, and they just think sustainability is just like, let's help pollution with the buildings, and they're not focused on like the actual environment, if that makes sense. But yeah, both classes are like really good.
So you already have 2 of your core classes done, Akira.
Yeah, but I was really unsure about the whole like shared introductory course thing, but now
You're
that you said,
fine.
yeah.
Just take it next time and just enjoy the major. You'll be way far ahead, and you'll be very interesting for the people in the class because like you'll know a bunch of stuff. Okay, well, I mean, I could stay here all night. But it did just get sunny, which makes me want to go outside.
Professor Lawrence, do you mind if you have a minute discussing the Environmental Resilience Institute a little bit?
Sure.
It's the first time I've heard of it, and I'd love to learn more.
Yeah. So the Environmental Resilience Institute is a research thing. It's pan-university. It has people associated with it and its projects across grounds, like seriously, from the law school, nursing, the health, Department of Health, not Department of Health, the School of Public Health, a bunch of schools and college, a bunch of departments in the College of Arts and Sciences. So it's great. It's all around the environment. It's around research. So there are opportunities for involvement in research. There's always something going on to learn, to go to a webinar, but that they don't teach. So like, that's not the teaching thing. That's where you go to find out what all the people who teach you are doing in their other time. So it's like the research side. Bye, John. So the nice thing is that they are looking to engage students. So they often have, for instance, the thing I was referring to was they have an internship program. They have a January internship program, which is really cool because I think it's like a really short 2-week, or maybe they call it externship. I don't know what they call it, but it's like a short thing where you can go and plug yourself into some organization. Could be sciencey, could be more policy. It's a short thing. And then they also have made deals with various national and local organizations that are environmental, that are either, again, researchy or more on the applied side, and they support internships for students. So I think there's maybe 8 organizations they work with, each of them taking 2 interns, so 16 opportunities. And I think that has already passed, I'm sorry to say, but it comes around again, and it'll be listed on our website. It comes around again, I think maybe in January, I'm not sure. But if you follow us on ETP at ETPUVA anywhere, you will see it come. So definitely happy to have you. See you later, Akira. Happy to have you follow us and follow them, or just follow them. Like Google them, Environmental Resilience Institute. They probably have a search place. You can look for student opportunities. The other person is you can get in touch with Jonah Fogel, Fogel. Super nice guy. He's their program manager. He's got his finger in every pie. So like, should I put Fogel? Jonah Fogel. He's your connection for anything. And if you have a particular interest, Gareth, like you could write to Jonah and say, I'm really interested in like the law, like what are you guys doing on law? Like, are you doing pollution law? Are you doing Flint, Michigan? You can just ask and maybe he'll know what's happening. You can also ask me, not about ERI, but like about just stuff. You could always come talk to me.
I appreciate that. Will do.
Sure. Okay, any last questions? Bye, Mary. Thanks for being here.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Anybody else dying to say something? So I'll just make a plug that my office hours are on Thursdays from 2 to 3:30. And you can email me anytime to just, if that doesn't work, to set up an appointment. You know what? My office hours, my link should be on the website, Ash. I'm thinking my office hours Zoom. So maybe I'll send that so that you can have, so someone could find me in my office on Zoom. But you could always email me and I would give you the link to get into my office.
Shall I put your email in the chat? That'd be
Yeah,
helpful.
that'd be great. Sure. I think you can just type my name and I pop up, but who knows? Anyway. All right. Well, then, thanks for coming, everybody. And, we're all here. And if you don't want to talk to me, you can always talk to Ash. She's the only Durkoop in Virginia, so you can find her.
And if you can't spell that, I did put my email in the chat as well.
Perfect.
It's a hard last name to search.
Good. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. And yeah, just get in touch if you have any questions.
Thank you, Professor Lawrence.
Thanks.
Take care. See you later. Is Lois sticking around? No. Okay. Thanks,
right.
Ash. That was terrific.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Deborah. And I will get the recording up as soon as the cloud sends it to me.
Perfect. See you later.